Welcome back to Between Two White Coats, a podcast designed to help you be the healthiest version of yourself. I'm Dr. Michelle Plaster, a family medicine doctor.
And I'm her co-host, Amber Foster, a family nurse practitioner. In our combined 30 years in medicine, we've seen a lot.
We're discussing key issues surrounding health and wellness, answering some of our biggest questions, overcoming health obstacles, and giving patient-centered advice in hopes of educating you and providing the tools you need to live a healthy life.
If you find our podcast helpful, please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review. This will help other people find our podcast.
Thanks for joining us. We look forward to serving you. Welcome back to Between Two White Coats. I am super excited for today's topic because this is fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we talk to you guys about diabetes and high blood pressure.
Like serious stuff.
Less fun. But we have fun stuff today because we have had the opportunity to start offering a lot of things that are fun for people to do, but also improve your health at the same time.
Complementary medicine.
Complementary. They complement you. They complement your doctor and what they're doing. It's just ways to improve your health, but improving your health not by taking things away, but by giving you things.
Yeah.
You know, so many times
and
I
not
feel
pills.
Like,
not pills.
And not
it's
pills.
not like all the pills for everything.
Not pills and not, you know, I often say, okay, what are you supposed to eat? The basic rule is if it tastes good, you probably shouldn't eat it. And, you know, that's what it always feels like your doctor is saying. And we're always like taking the things that you love. And now we like to give you things that you will love. So there's a lot of things in the wellness industry that have become popular and are kind of Hollywood mainstream, and we're able to offer them here in Monroe, Georgia, and we're really excited to be able to bring this into our community. So when we were foreshadowing the Wellness Center, I was going to visit a very good friend that lives in LA, and I said to him,
Speaking of Hollywood.
Yes, speaking of Hollywood. And I said to him, hey, someone just sent me information about this place that has all these wellness offerings, and it's owned by a Beverly Hills cosmetic surgeon, and I want to experience this wellness center. And he said, oh, that's so funny. I'm a member there, and so I'll take you. So we went to the Hollywood Wellness Center. If you know me, you know Hollywood and me, not necessarily the same. Like, I want to go up to all...
Come on.
My gosh. I want to go up to all the famous people. I even have my son saying this and say, I don't know why you're so famous and why you get paid so much. I save lives. You make movies. And yet you get all that I don't get. Yeah. So, you know, maybe I'm a little bitter about Hollywood, but I'm going to this Hollywood Beverly Hills Plastic Surgeon Wellness Center and experiencing all the things. And one of the things I was excited to experience was the cryo chamber. I was a little bit scared because I'm going to, in my mind, I'm going to step in a meat locker.
Yes.
You're going to shut me in there and I'm going to
freeze to death.
Mm-hmm. And I am paying you to do this. And Michael, our nurse practitioner, who was in our men's health episode of podcast, who's a fabulous guy, has been begging me. He's all things wellness. He's been begging me for us to get this cryo chamber. And I was like, I just don't see it, Michael. I just don't know. I've read about the benefits. They're huge, but I just don't know. And so I get in this cryo chamber in the Hollywood Wellness Center. You step in. The experience is very cool.
Pun intended.
Yeah, but you walk in and it's sort of like little snow flurries above your head. You're dressed in sort of like your sports gear, what you might exercise in. They give you a winter hat, gloves, and you have to have your feet covered. The extremities, the furthest from your heart, might get too cold. And you're supposed to stay in there for 3.5 minutes, and it's negative 160 degrees. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, am I going to do this? And it's really like the polar plunge that you see people doing in, Lake Michigan in the middle of the winter. And they get out and they go, it's so exhilarating. I'm like, you're so crazy. So I get in and the guy tells me right before I go in, you get some music on. I listen to Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we're going to.
The fact that you know that is amazing. I'm impressed.
I am cooler than my 10-year-old thinks. And you get to pick your music and you get in and I was like, I'm just going to become one with Dua Lipa. So so that I don't realize how cold I am. And you have to stay in for 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. So there's this big clock, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I want to do it. And then my competitive nature starts kicking in. I'm like, I'm getting this 3.5 minutes in. And then I step out, and it's this adrenaline rush. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in when you're putting that kind of, stress, good stress on your body. And you get this kind of endorphin and adrenaline rush. And I stepped out, and I was like, this is the most awesome thing, and we're going to have a cryo chamber.
Yeah. And we're having
and you've done cryotherapy
yes,
yourself.
very similar. I hate to be cold. Like, I'm a good Southerner.
Yeah.
Like, do not like to be cold. Like, I would let it be summer forever and ever and ever. But yeah, I did not think it was awful. And again, like, the studies have shown, I'm putting in air quotes, but like, you see a lot of people doing like ice baths. Yeah. And essentially 3 minutes in a cryo chamber is equivalent to 30 minutes in an ice bath. So if I'm going to pick to be miserably cold,
I'm going to choose 3.
I'm going to choose 3 over 30. But yeah, very similar. And same thing. Like you kind of get this high almost of like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is this, fun, exhilarating thing, and it's a cool experience, but there is also some science behind what's going on there. So Amber already mentioned the ice immersion therapies that you see all the athletes. Your favorite athlete has submerged themselves in a water ice bath to help kind of ice all their joints, ice all their muscles. When we make things cold, it pulls the inflammation out. And so if we do that for entire body, then we can really reduce inflammation. And we're learning more and more about chronic inflammation post-COVID, chronic inflammation with autoimmune disease. There's so many places that people are just harboring inflammation in their body. And so what if we were to just try to ice your whole body at once and reduce the inflammation? So it's very much to reduce inflammation and heal you that way, pull that negative factor out of your body. Also, athletes will, put ice on their swollen joints and their painful joints. And when we ice, you sprain your ankle and we tell you rest, ice, compress, elevate. And so icing is a big part of getting that inflammation down and getting joints to heal. So arthritis, myalgias, muscle aches, very much relieved. There's good chronic pain relief, low back pain relief from using cryo chambers, because it helps pull the inflammation for those underlying injuries, but it also helps those the blood flow constricts initially, and then after you step out, there's a rush of blood flow to reheat the tissue, and that rush of blood flow brings healing products through the blood. And so there's really a general healing and a general anti-inflammation that comes from cryo or cryotherapies. There's the mental health. Yeah. We talked about the endorphins that get released. This is not something that I would say, hey, stop your antidepressant
or your therapy
and start cryo. But it certainly can be a complement to. These are things that we can do that are exhilarating and make us feel better, and can complement our other things. It is also, this is not a sole weight loss option. Don't eat all the bad stuff and then go jump in a cryo chamber. But there is some weight loss. It has an effect on your metabolism. To heat your body back up when you're put into that very cold for that short period, your metabolism has to rise to get your body back to normal, and then it sustains at that elevated level. So when people are struggling with their metabolism, this is a great way to improve your metabolism without prescriptions. And people will notice an energy burst because of that. So, some people will go do like a cryo at their lunch, and then it really pulls them through the afternoon to be very productive, mentally focused, and
put all of our providers in it during the day.
I mean, we are going to be so effective when we are all jumping in. We're going to be happy and
ready to go
and efficient
after lunch.
Yes. So cryo chambers, I think, are fun. There's a number of different things that come from this. They are not FDA approved for a treatment for any of the things that we have mentioned. They are a complement to the other things that you may be doing. But we do think that there is therapeutic benefit from this. Like there is, apples are not FDA approved as a treatment for disease, but someone said an apple a day takes the doctor away, because just having a part of your lifestyle complement your health is what we're trying to get you to do. And cryo might be the right thing for you. specifically if you are looking for something to help with your mental wellness, with weight loss or metabolism, with joint or muscle pain or chronic pain.
For athletes, it's a big deal.
It improves their recovery time. It quickly improves your recovery time. So when you have that, you're training for a marathon or you're a football player, and you're get beat up on Friday night, and then you've got to be ready for practice on Monday. It's a great way to recover, improve your recovery time. And a lot of professional sports have cryo chambers as part of their locker rooms and weight rooms, and the athletes are jumping in them all the time. Yeah. And so cryo is a very fun one. And then another complementary therapy that we are
So we're going to the opposite direction.
Yes.
We're going from cold to hot.
To hot is a sauna. But there is kind of a new, an improved sauna, which is the infrared sauna. Yeah. Infrared saunas are different in that they don't heat the air, and so you're not sitting in as much heat. You don't have to. You can get more of a therapeutic benefit from the heat without having to be as hot. Infrared saunas are normally about 110 to 120 degrees, where a normal sauna, steam sauna, might be more like 150 to 190 degrees.
It uses the light panels also, so that's kind of how it works.
So there's some light therapy to that.
My sister-in-law and I went to one of these in Austin where they live, and we were sitting there talking. It has music or whatever, and we were just
Dua
in
Lipa, you can choose.
Yeah, I don't remember. I want to say ours was Beyonce for some reason, but I might be wrong. But it was definitely something to okay, let's stick this out. And I don't remember exactly how long we sat in it. I want to say our session was like 20 minutes. And initially I thought, this isn't doing very much. Do you think this is doing very much? And she's like, I don't know. And then by the end of it, I was like, oh, this is doing some stuff right here. I can feel this. You could tell that I was definitely getting warmer. And then of course, when you step outside of a sauna, you're like, oh yeah, that for sure was working.
And so you get the typical stuff that you get from heat. It helps elongate your muscles so that there's less tension on your joints. It helps relax muscles. It helps relax you. I often feel like a great way to use an infrared sauna is to do a little bit of meditation with it. So you can put some calming music. You could do some mindfulness.
Probably not Beyonce then. It's what you're not going to pick.
Beyonce brings out the best in everyone, so why not? But you could also use that because I'm always trying to find ways to multitask. So I want to multitask in my relaxation.
Of course you are.
And so I would like to sit in my sauna and create my mindfulness, gratitude all at the same time. So there is some mental health from the relaxing effects of a sauna from just the general heat. But there is a lot of good therapeutic effects from the infrared rays as well. Infrared rays will penetrate through as deep as bone. And so they really create a heat inside of you that helps relax your muscle and helps things to heal.
Which helps with recovery, like we mentioned earlier with the cryo. But for athletes, that's a big deal. I know, your son plays sports, my children play sports, but it's 5 and 6 days a week, 7 days sometimes. They're not getting a ton of rest, and not because we try, but they still want to do better, So my kids on their own, they're teenagers, they'll go outside and dribble.
So for the first time when we drag our kids to work with us, they're excited about it. So they're like, I'm gonna sit in the sauna, and then I'm gonna jump in the cryo.
Yeah, for the first time, my kids will be super excited to come. But just for athletes in general, it will help restorative health for their muscles and their bones.
And there is sort of a cold heat therapy that a number of places, spas have been doing this for a long time, but wellness centers are finding great therapy for people in being able to do a sauna and then a cryo, and it just sort of helps your body to experience both, which takes your nervous system and other things through kind of a healing cycle. The amount of time that a person might want to be in an infrared sauna is anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. I would say you want to work your way up. So if you've not been in an infrared sauna before, you might not want to jump right at the 40-minute mark so that you know what you're expecting. Infrared is heat. You will sweat, and like any sauna, and anytime you're going to be in a sauna or a hot tub or any other kind of heat therapy that you may be using, make sure you're really well hydrated. You want to hydrate before you sauna and after, so that you make sure that extra sweating doesn't dry you out. There are studies that have looked at infrared saunas helping to control blood pressure, helping with heart failure, There are studies that look at insulin resistance, metabolism, and even metabolic syndromes and helping with diabetes related to use of infrared saunas. Of course, arthritis because heat in the joints, and pain relief and chronic pain relief, lowering stress from the thermal therapy. And I was a little plug for a book that he is not a sponsor of this podcast.
Maybe he would be. Maybe one day.
If you know Dr. Peter Attia and you would like to introduce this podcast to him, please do. But Dr. Peter Attia is someone that we've been talking about a lot in longevity medicine, and he's doing some incredible work in the field of medicine, and I have a great deal of respect for the work he's doing. And so he has a book called Outlive that I highly recommend. And I'm listening to the book, and we have the infrared sauna, and he's talking about dementia and Alzheimer's and different things that we can do for longevity medicine so that we can prevent dementia as we age. And he said after exercise, number 2, that he found the most science to support was using an infrared sauna weekly. And he said 3 to 4 times a week greatly decreases developing Alzheimer's in later life. So I thought, thank you, Dr. Peter Attia, for
gives me more reason
talking
to get
about
in there.
Something that I already can use. So yeah, it gives me even more reason to get in there. But I do think that there are probably countless therapeutic benefits from these kind of therapies, and we're just starting to really see some of the research that supports it. And it's relaxing and it makes you feel good. And what I like about coming to the Wellness Center and using cryo or infrared or anything else is that you're doing self-care. You're really prioritizing yourself. You're doing something that is relaxing and enjoyable for you to take a little moment of your day and carve out some time for yourself, which is huge. The other thing that is very in trend at this time, I know because Kendall Jenner did it, and if Kendall Jenner did it, then I should probably know about it. But IV and IM. And so we all know what an IV is because we've been to the emergency room or we love someone who has.
Or it's been on the television. You know, everybody's sick on the TV.
Because
so I've got
you
the
watch
IV.
Grey's Anatomy
Yeah,
and ER,
you're
you
good.
know that what the IV does. And, you know, when you get admitted to the hospital, you get an IV. Like, we're throwing IVs in a lot of people. And why is it that so many people... if there's globally something that people get when admitted to the hospital, it's a bag of fluids.
Yeah.
And whether we put something in the fluids or not is what changes. And I remember even as a resident, us learning, don't overhydrate people. Don't leave the bag hanging for days and then you've given them too much fluid because you've just had a bag of fluids going the whole time. So why are we giving everybody a bag of fluids? Well, first of all, if you're in the hospital, you're sick. But even before you got sick, you're probably malnourished. Dehydrated. And so if you were dehydrated, 80% of Americans have some degree of dehydration. So it doesn't surprise me at all that IV lounges and mobile IV have become popular things because most people would benefit from a bag of fluids. And now what we put in the fluids can benefit you even more. So we can add different vitamins to the IV bag. There are different treatments for people's different goals. So maybe you're an athlete and you're trying to turn your ATP, your cellular energy stores, you're trying to turn that over faster so that you have more energy and can have more explosive athletic performance. Then you might want NAD in your bag of fluids because that's a building block to help with energy. And another reason why we might do IV, so people may say, well, if you're not vomiting, why can't you just eat it? And some things, first, when we put it straight into your, straight through the IV into your bloodstream, you're going to get it faster. Yeah. If people are malabsorptive, then they don't get everything out of their gut. But also certain chemicals like NAD, they get broken down by the stomach and they cannot be absorbed. Yeah. And so some things can only be received IV or IM. So we have some good science of things that haven't really been readily available to people because we didn't have a way for them to take it orally. So this is another benefit, really, is that we can hydrate people. We can give them things in a way that isn't lost through the absorptive process or isn't broke down by the stomach. And we can really, in a short period of time, give people a real boost of what they may need. Have you done any kind of like
I haven't.
lounge or anything?
No, I haven't yet. We should totally do that.
You remember the time when we were in a meeting, and so it's not, when you work in healthcare, you sometimes benefit from the bag of fluids. Amber and I had a meeting with our clinical manager, Shannon, and I had been traveling to an unnamed park.
We're going to leave it.
Yeah, an
unnamed
park
neutral.
that might be in Florida. And I got food poisoning. Maybe not from the park, maybe from a restaurant. In the
but
Orlando
you're never sick.
area.
But
Yeah.
you were,
but
she's never sick.
I'm never sick. And I got, oh my gosh, I got such bad food poisoning, which everyone gets food poisoning in their life. You don't avoid this stuff. It just happens. And I had 12 hours of what felt like I was heaving from my toes. And for days I was dizzy and weak and tired. And so a couple days into this, I was like, okay, during this meeting, Amber, you are going to give me a bag of saline. And so through the meeting, Amber started an IV on me, and I swear the second that meeting was over and we pulled that IV, I was like a million times better. I just couldn't I was able to digest again. I just couldn't bounce back. I had gotten so dehydrated that I was so far behind that even though I was pushing tons of fluid, I just couldn't get enough in.
Well, and of course too, like just I know we're going to offer so many things. Our wellness clinic offers so many things for different types, like you were mentioning, like the different like Myers bags, and there's so many other things. But I mean, we live in Georgia, and it is hot.
It is hot,
and we have, I mean, kids playing football. But like it is their jobs from little bitties.
Yes.
But
and they are always behind on their hydration. And so the only way you can really get them ahead is give them a liter through their IV. Yeah.
So I think that at least we can offer some of that. My son's 16. He plays basketball, and I mean, like he is disgusting after practice, and he is. And you
can see they get wilty,
yes,
they get irritable,
they're
and
tired.
So
I'm excited to offer this to my own child.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing that's really valuable with offering the IV and IM is that we can get people thinking about what's in their system and try to give them these boosts. And then you really can tell. I love just training people's brain to say what we put in your body makes you feel a certain way. And so when we give you an IV and you feel better, like when we finished the meeting and I had my IV and you feel better instantly, it makes you realize I need to stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
I need to
like what else can we do?
I need to put stuff into my body because I can instantly feel that my body feels the response from that.
Yeah.
So I think all of these are opportunities for us to pay more attention to our self-care, to take care of our athletes of all ages, to take care of people who feel like, look, I may not have a diagnosis, but I'm not always feeling my best and I want to do more. But also for longevity medicine. I'm 51 and I want to be doing things now that are going to make me feel this good when I'm 81, when I'm 91, God willing. And so, I want to be doing these things that are really optimizing my health. Yeah. So if you have not tried
come join us.
Therapy,
Shelly and I'll be in there.
We will be in there. We keep joking that we're going to have a meeting in the infrared sauna. We haven't done it yet, but it's probably going to happen. Come join us, try an IV. And what's nice, some of this stuff gets a little overwhelming, and some of these kind of med spa places don't have medical personnel that can help coach you to what you need. But if you don't know, well, what do I need in my IV? You shouldn't have to know that. Like, we went
that's
to
our
school
job
to know that. And so we'll do a consultation with you, and you can let us know what I'm looking for is improvement in these areas, and we'll help you know what would help you benefit from that. So come join us.
We're excited.
Welcome you. I think you'll love it.
We like to end you on a good note. This week's Tell Me Something Good is from the what I call real Shannon Works. She is our back office manager. Shannon, tell us something good.
I just bought a new house.
Woo-hoo.
I'm very excited. It's for me and my kids to be under one roof, and we're all just together. Everybody got their own room. I'm so excited.
Which is a big deal. Each kid having their own room.
Yes.
Big deal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this week. And until next time, take care of yourself.